to Warhammer 40k 8th edition solo battle report 4, 1750 points, Chaos Demons of Tzeentch versus Space Wolves. This will be the big rulebook Maelstrom of War mission Cleanse and Capture, and we will be rolling for a random map deployment today. Let's begin by taking a quick look around the board at where each of the objective markers have been placed. Beginning with this 2 foot by 2 foot section, objective marker 5 has been placed down here next to this ruin. In this middle 2 foot by 2 foot section, objective marker 6 has been placed over here next to this ruin. In this third 2 foot by 2 foot section, objective marker 4 has been placed up here next to this crater. Over on the other side of the board, in this 2 foot by 2 foot section, objective marker 2 has been placed down here next to this crater. In this middle 2 foot by 2 foot section, objective marker 3 has been placed over here next to this crater. And finally, in this 2 foot by 2 foot section, objective marker 1 has been placed up here next to this ruin. And now we will roll for the random map deployment, rolling a 3, which is Search and Destroy. On a roll of a 1, 2, or a 3, the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch will deploy in the top left corner, and the Space Wolves will deploy in the bottom right, and on a 4, 5, or 6 it'll be the opposite, so the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch will deploy in the bottom right corner, and the Space Wolves will deploy in the top left. And here's the roll. Rolling a 3, so the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch will deploy in the top left corner, and the Space Wolves will deploy in the bottom right. And now on a roll of a 1, 2, or 3, the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch will begin to deploy first, and on a 4, 5, or 6, the Space Wolves will begin to deploy first. And here's the roll. Rolling a 4, so the Space Wolves will begin to deploy first. The Space Wolves began to deploy first, and they also finished deploying first, which means that they will go first unless the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch are able to successfully seize the initiative. Let's take a quick look around the board at where each army placed all of their units. Beginning with the Space Wolves deployment, we have a Razorback sitting on objective marker 6, the Warlord Bjorn the Fell-Handed, the first squad of 5 Intercessors, Repulsor number 1 with a squad of 3 Aggressors, and a Primaris Wolf Priest embarked inside, Repulsor number 2 with a squad of 3 Aggressors and a Primaris Wolf Priest embarked inside, the second squad of 5 Intercessors sitting on objective marker 4, a Venerable Dreadnought, and finally the third squad of 5 Intercessors. Moving over to the Chaos Demon of Tzeentch deployment, we have the first squad of 10 Pink Horrors. This is the squad that has the demonic icon and the instrument. The first Soul Grinder of Tzeentch. The first squad of 6 Screamers, sitting on objective marker 3. Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings number 1. Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings number 2. The Warlord Lord of Change. The second squad of 6 Screamers, the second Soul Grinder of Tzeentch, the second squad of 10 Pink Horrors, the third squad of 10 Pink Horrors sitting on objective marker 1, and finally the third Soul Grinder of Tzeentch. For this battle report, Chaos Demons of Tzeentch will have access to 9 command points, and the Space Wolves will have access to 10 command points. And now the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch will attempt to seize the initiative on a 6, and they fail by rolling a 2. And so let's go into Space Wolves turn 1. Going into Space Wolves turn 1, a reminder that the Space Wolves have 10 command points available, and the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch have 9 command points available. At the start of the turn, the Space Wolves drew 3 new tactical objective cards, and they drew Kingslayer, scored D3 victory points if your opponent's Warlord has been destroyed during this or any previous turn. Blood and Guts, score 1 victory point if an enemy unit was destroyed during the fight phase this turn. If 3 or more enemy units were destroyed during the fight phase this turn, score D3 victory points instead. And Unleash the Wolves. Score 1 victory point at the end of your charge phase if at least 2 friendly Space Wolf units made a successful charge in that phase. Going into the movement phase, this Razorback, which is controlling objective marker 6, will remain still. The Warlord Bjorn the Fell-Handed will remain still. This squad of 5 Intercessors will move up to 6 inches. This Repulsor will move up to 10 inches. The Venerable Dreadnought will move up to 6 inches. This squad of 5 Intercessors will move up to 6 inches. The second Repulsor will move up to 10 inches. Finally, this squad of 5 Intercessors will move up to 6 inches, and they will also declare an advance. And here's the advance roll, rolling 6 additional inches, so this squad of 5 Intercessors will move up to 12 inches total. Going into the Psychic phase, the Space Wolves have no Psychers. Going into the Shooting phase, the Space Wolves are going to begin by using 2 stratagems. They will use Keen Senses for 1 command point. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase. Choose a Space Wolves unit from your army. That unit doesn't suffer any penalties to its hit rolls this phase. They will also use Wisdom of the Ancients for 1 command point. Use this stratagem at the start of any phase. Select a Space Wolves Dreadnought from your army other than a Murderfang or a Wolf and Dreadnought. Till the end of the phase, you can reroll all hit rolls 1 for friendly Space Wolves units within 6 inches of that Dreadnought. And so in total, the Space Wolves will use 2 command points, which will drop them from 10 command points down to 8. And both of these stratagems will be used on this Venerable Dreadnought, which means that the Venerable Dreadnought will not suffer any penalties to its hit rolls for moving. And also, thanks to Wisdom of the Ancients, the Venerable Dreadnought, both Repulsors, and the squad of 5 Intercessors sitting on Objective Marker 4 will all get to reroll hit rolls of 1. And the Space Wolves will begin with this squad of 5 Intercessors, who will fire their auto bolt rifles into this squad of 6 Screamers. However, only 2 of the Intercessors are in range. So 4 shots total, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s. That's pretty awful. Getting 1 hit, 1 reroll. And here's the reroll. Getting a second hit. Strength 4 versus Toughness 4 means wounding on 4s. Getting 1 wound. No AP, so 1 4-up invulnerable save, which passes. This squad of 5 Intercessors, which did advance, will fire their auto bolt rifles, which are assault weapons, into this squad of 6 Screamers. However, once again, only 2 of the Intercessors are in range to fire. So 4 shots total, hitting on 4s, thanks to advancing, and that's pretty bad. Getting 1 hit. Strength 4 versus Toughness 4 means wounding on a 4, and it fails to wound. This Venerable Dreadnought will fire its assault cannon into this squad of 10 pink horrors. 6 shots total, hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s thanks to the stratagems, getting all 6 hits. Strength 6 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on 2s, getting 5 wounds. Minus 1 AP, so 5 4-up invulnerable saves, passing 2, failing 3, and they are 1 damage piece. So 3 pink horrors will go down, leaving 7 left alive in the squad. This Repulsor will fire its last Talon and Twin Last Cannon into this Soul Grinder. It will fire its 2 Iron Hail Heavy Stubbers into this squad of 7 Pink Horrors, and it will fire its 2 Crackstorm Grenade Launchers and its 5 Fragstorm Grenade Launchers into this squad of 6 Screamers. Beginning with the last Talon and Twin Last Cannon into the Soul Grinder of Tzeentch, 4 shots total, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s thanks to the Dreadnought, getting 2 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, getting a 3rd hit. Strength 9 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 3s, getting 2 wounds. Minus 3 AP, so 2 4-up invulnerable saves, passing 1 and failing 1. And the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch are going to use 1 command point, going from 9 down to 8, for a command reroll to reroll the 3. And here's the reroll, and it will still fail, and it will inflict D6 damage. So D6 damage, and it will inflict 5 damage. So this Soul Grinder of Tzeentch will fall from 14 starting wounds down to 9. Now for the 2 Iron Hail Heavy Stubbers into the squad of Pink Horrors. 6 shots total, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 4 hits and 2 rerolls. And here's the 2 rerolls, getting 1 additional hit for 5 hits total. Strength 4 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on 3s, and that's awful, getting 1 wound. Minus 1 AP, so 1 4-up invulnerable save, which fails. So 1 more Pink Horror will go down, leaving 6 left alive in the squad. Next will be the 2 Crackstorm Grenade Launchers into the Screamers. 2 shots total, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 2 hits. Strength 6 versus Toughness 4 means wounding on 3s, failing to wound. Finally, the 5 Fragstorm Grenade Launchers into the squad of 6 Screamers. D6 shots apiece for 5 D6 shots total, and that's awful, getting 13 shots. Hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 7 hits and 2 rerolls. And here's the 2 rerolls, getting 2 additional hits for 9 hits total. Strength 4 versus Toughness 4 means wounding on 4s. And that was good, getting 6 wounds. No AP, so 6 4-up invulnerable saves, passing 3 and failing 3, and they are 1 damage piece. So 1 Screamer will lose its 2 starting wounds and be killed off, leaving 5 left alive in the squad, and then 1 more Screamer will fall from 2 starting wounds down to 1 left. This Repulsor is going to do the exact same thing. It will fire its last Talon and Twin Last Cannon into this Soul Grinder of Tzeentch, which is down to 9 wounds. It will fire its 2 Iron Hail Heavy Stubbers into this squad of 6 Pink Horrors. And finally, it will fire its 2 Crackstorm Grenade Launchers and its 5 Fragstorm Grenade Launchers into this squad of 5 Screamers. Beginning with the last Talon and Twin Last Cannon into the Soul Soul Grinder of Tzeentch. 4 shots total, hitting on 3s, re-rolling 1s. Of course, rolling 2 2s, getting 2 hits. Strength 9 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 3s, getting 1 wound, but the Space Wolves will use 1 command point, going from 8 down to 7, for a command reroll to reroll the 2. And here's the reroll. Getting a 2nd wound. Minus 3 AP, so 2 4-up invulnerable saves, passing 1 and failing 1. It is d6 damage, so here's the d6 damage roll, and it will inflict 5 damage. So this Soul Grinder of Tzeentch will fall from 9 wounds, down to 4 left. Now for the 2 Iron Hail Heavy Stubbers into the squad of 6 Pink Horrors. 6 shots total, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 5 hits, 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, getting an additional hit for 6 hits total. Strength 4 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on 3s. That could be better. Getting 3 wounds. Minus 1 AP, so 3 4-up invulnerable saves. Passing 1 and failing 2, and they are 1 damage piece. So 2 more Pink Horrors will go down, leaving 4 left alive in the squad. Next, the Repulsor will fire the 5 Fragstorm grenade launchers. D6 shots piece for 5 D6 shots total. Once again, not very good, getting 13 shots. Hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 9 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, getting a 10th hit. Strength 4 versus Toughness 4 means wounding on 4s. And that was really good, getting 7 wounds. No AP, so 7 4-up invulnerable saves. And that was pretty awful, passing 2 but failing 5. So the Wounded Screamer will lose its last wound and be killed off. And then 2 more fully healthy Screamers will lose their 2 starting wounds and be killed off, leaving 2 left alive in the squad. Finally, the Repulsor will fire its 2 Crackstorm grenade launchers. 2 shots total, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 2 hits. Strength 6 versus Toughness 4 means wounding on 3s, getting 2 wounds. Minus 1 AP, so 2 4-up invulnerable saves, and failing both. And they are D3 damage piece, which will have to be done separately because the damage does not carry over from model to model. So the first D3 damage roll will do 2 damage, and the second D3 damage roll will do 3 damage. And so the 2 damage roll will kill off both starting wounds from one of the Screamers, and then the 3 damage roll will finish off the 2 starting wounds from the final Screamer, which means that that squad of Screamers is fully wiped out for first blood. Bjorn the Fell-Handed will fire his heavy plasma cannon, using supercharged shots into this Soul Grinder of Tzeentch, who's down to 4 wounds. D3 shots, getting 3 shots. Hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s thanks to himself, getting all 3 hits. Strength 8 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 3s, getting 2 wounds. Minus 3 AP, so 2 4-up invulnerable saves, passing 1 and failing 1. It is 2 damage thanks to being supercharged. So this Soul Grinder of Tzeentch will fall from 4 wounds down to 2 left. This squad of 5 Intercessors will fire their auto bolt rifles into this squad of 6 Screamers, and all 5 Intercessors are in range to shoot. 10 shots total, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s thanks to Bjorn the Fell-Handed, getting 9 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, still failing to hit, so 9 hits total. Strength 4 versus Toughness 4 means wounding on 4s, and that's pretty bad. Getting 3 wounds. No AP, so 3 4-up invulnerable saves, passing 1, failing 2, and they are 1 damage piece. So 1 Screamer will lose its 2 starting wounds and be killed off, leaving 5 left alive in the squad. Finally, this Razorback will fire its Assault Cannon and its Storm Bolter at full range into this squad of 5 Screamers, and it will fire its 1 Hunter Killer Missile into this Soul Grinder of Tzeentch, who is down to 2 wounds. Beginning with the Hunter Killer Missile, 1 shot, hitting on a 3, rerolling 1s thanks to Bjorn the Fell-Handed, getting a hit. Strength 8 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on a 3, and it fails to wound. Now for the Storm Bolter, 2 shots at full range, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 2 rerolls. And here's the 2 rerolls, getting 2 hits. Strength 4 versus Toughness 4 means wounding on 4s, failing to wound. And now for the Twin Assault Cannon, 12 shots total, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 6 hits and 3 rerolls. And here's the rerolls, getting 3 additional hits for 9 hits total. Strength 6 versus Toughness 4 means wounding on 3s, and that was pretty good, getting 7 wounds. Minus 1 AP, so 7 4-up invulnerable saves, passing 4, failing 3, and they are 1 damage piece. So 1 Screamer will lose its 2 starting wounds and be killed off, leaving 4 left alive in the squad, and 1 additional Screamer will fall from 2 starting wounds, down to 1 left. Going into the assault phase, there are no charges to declare, which means going into the fight phase, there are no fights to resolve. Going into the morale phase, this squad of Screamers lost 2 models this turn, and they have a leadership of 7, so they could fail on a 6. However, they are within 6 inches of the Warlord Lord of Change, which is a greater demon, which means that the Screamers can use the Lord of Change's leadership of 10, and therefore they will automatically pass. Finally, this squad of Pink Horrors lost 6 models this turn, and they have a leadership of 7, so they could fail on a 2-up. However, they do have a banner, which means that on a roll of a 1, they will automatically pass and get D6 slain Pink Horrors back. And since this is not a kill point game, the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch will risk the morale check and not spend 2 command points on Insane Bravery. So here's the morale check roll, and they roll a 3, so they will fail by 2. So the final regular Pink Horror and the Pink Horror armed with the Instrument of Chaos will be killed off, leaving 2 models left alive in the squad. Taking a look at the tactical objective cards, the Space Wolves failed to complete Kingslayer, they failed to complete Blood and Guts, and they also failed to complete Unleash the Wolves. However, the Space Wolves will hold on to all 3 tactical objective cards. And so at the end of Space Wolves turn 1, the score currently sits at 1 victory point for the Space Wolves thanks to First Blood, and 0 victory points for the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch. Going into Chaos Demons of Tzeentch turn 1, a reminder that the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch have 8 command points available, and the Space Wolves have 7 command points available. At the start of the turn, the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch drew 3 new tactical objective cards, and they drew Touched by the Warp. Score 1 victory point if you manifested or denied a psychic power during this turn. If you manifested or denied a psychic power with a Tzeentch demon unit during this turn, score D3 victory points instead. The Glory of Khorne. Score 1 victory point if an enemy character was destroyed during this turn. If an enemy character was destroyed by one of your Khorne demon units during this turn, score D3 victory points instead. And finally, Cycle of Life. Score 1 victory point if an enemy infantry unit was destroyed during this turn. If an enemy infantry unit was destroyed by one of your Nurgle demon units during this turn, score D3 victory points instead. Going into the movement phase, this Soul Grinder of Tzeentch will move up to 8 inches. This Soul Grinder of Tzeentch will move up to 8 inches. This squad of 4 Screamers will move up to 16 inches. This Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings will move up to 12 inches and will also declare an advance. And here's the advance roll, rolling 3 additional inches. So the Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings will move up to 15 inches total. The Warlord Lord of Change will move up to 12 inches. The second Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings will move up to 12 inches. This squad of 10 Pink Horrors sitting on Objective Marker 1 will remain still. This squad of 10 Pink Horrors will move up to 6 inches. This squad of 2 Pink Horrors will move up to 6 inches. This Soul Grinder of Tzeentch, which is down to 2 wounds, will remain still. Going into the Psychic phase, the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch are going to begin by using the stratagem Locust Conjuration for 2 command points, bringing them from 8 down to 6. Use this stratagem at the start of your Psychic phase, select a Tzeentch demon character from your army. Until the end of the phase, you can reroll any failed Psychic tests made for friendly Tzeentch demon units within 6 inches of that model. And the stratagem will be used on the Warlord Lord of Change, and so it will affect himself, both Demon Princes of Tzeentch with wings, and the squad of 10 Pink Horrors. And the Space Wolves are going to use the stratagem Talismanic Shield for 1 command point, bring them from 7 down to 6 left. Use this stratagem at the beginning of your opponent's Psychic phase. Choose a Space Wolves character from your army. That character can attempt to deny 1 psychic power this phase as if they were a Psyker. And this stratagem will be used on the Warlord Bjorn the Fell-Handed. And the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch will begin with this squad of 10 Pink Horrors and have this Pink Horror on the end attempt to manifest Smite onto this Repulsor. And Smite has a warp charge value of 5, and it will fail with a 2, but gets to be rerolled thanks to Locust Conjuration. And here's the reroll, and now it will pass with a 5. Bjorn the Fell-Handed is over 24 inches away from the squad of Pink Horrors, so he will not be able to deny the Witch. And because the squad does have 10 Pink Horrors within it, it will inflict D3 mortal wounds. and it will inflict 2 mortal wounds. And the Space Wolves will use the stratagem Armor of Contempt for 1 command point, bring them from 6 down to 5 left. Use this stratagem when a Space Wolves vehicle from your army suffers a mortal wound. Roll a d6 for that mortal wound and each other mortal wound inflicted on this model for the rest of the phase. On a 5-up, that mortal wound is ignored and has no effect. And Armor of Contempt, of course, will be used on the Repulsor, which was just hit by Smite, so it will roll 2d6 looking for 5-ups, and will pass 1, so only 1 mortal wound is suffered. So this Repulsor will fall from 16 starting wounds down to 15. The second unit to be activated will be this Demon Prince of Tzeentch with Wings, who will attempt to manifest Smite onto the Repulsor that is down to 15 wounds. And Smite now has a warp charge value of 6, and it will fail with a 3, but it will be re-rolled thanks to Locus of Conjuration. And here's the re-roll. Still rolling a 3, so it will still fail. The third unit to be activated will be the second Demon Prince of Tzeentch with Wings, who will attempt to manifest Boon of Change onto the squad of 4 Screamers. And Boon of Change has warp charge value of 7, and it will pass with an 8. However, Bjorn the Fell-Handed is within 24 inches, and so he will use his 1 Deny the Witch test, thanks to Talismanic Shield, and rolls an 8, so the Deny the Witch test will fail, and Boon of Change will successfully go off. So rolling a d3 on the table, rolling a 3 on the table, which is Iron Skin plus 1 Toughness. So until the start of the next Chaos Demon of Tzeentch Psychic phase, the Screamers will be Toughness 5 instead of Toughness 4. The fourth and final unit to be activated will be the Warlord Lord of Change, who will attempt to manifest both Smite and Bolt of Change onto the Repulsor that is down to 15 wounds. Beginning with Smite, which has a warp charge value of 7. And it will pass with the 7, thanks to +2 from the Psychic Test bonus. And it will inflict D3 mortal wounds, and it will inflict 1 mortal wound. So thanks to Armor of Contempt, rolling 1d6 looking for a 5-up, which will fail, so 1 mortal wound will go through. And the Repulsor will fall from 15 wounds down to 14. And now for Bolt of Change, which has a warp charge value of 8. And that will fail with a 7, thanks to +2 from the Psychic Test bonus. However, it will get to be re-rolled thanks to Locus Conjuration. However, considering that that 1 only needs to become a 2 for the Psychic Test to pass, the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch would prefer to keep the 4, and so they will use 1 command point, going from 6 down to 5, for a command re-roll to just re-roll the 1. And here's the re-roll, now rolling a 4, which gives them 8 total, however getting to add 2 thanks to the Psychic Test bonus, so actually getting a total Psychic Test of 10, which will pass. And it will inflict D3 mortal wounds, and it will inflict 2 mortal wounds. Thanks to Armor of Contempt, rolling 2d6, looking for 5-ups, passing 1 and failing 1, so 1 mortal wound will go through. So the Repulsor will fall from 14 wounds down to 13. And now the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch are going to use the stratagem Magical Boon for 1 command point, bring them from 5 down to 4. Use this stratagem at the end of your Psychic phase, select a Tzeentch Demon Psyker from your army. It can immediately attempt to manifest 1 additional Psychic power this turn. And the stratagem will be used on the Warlord Lord of Change, who will attempt to manifest Gaze of Fate. And Gaze of Fate has a warp charge value of 6, and it will pass with an 8, thanks to +2 from the Psychic Test bonus. If manifested, you can re-roll a single die roll later during your turn. Going into the shooting phase, this Soul Grinder of Tzeentch will fire both its Harvester Cannon and its Flum Bombardment into this Venerable Dreadnought. Beginning with the Harvester Cannon, 3 shots total, hitting on 5s thanks to being down to 2 wounds, re-rolling 1s thanks to the Demon Prince of Tzeentch with Wings, getting 1 hit and 2 re-rolls. And here's the re-rolls, getting 1 additional hit for 2 hits total. Strength 7 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 4s, failing to wound. And now for the Flum Bombardment, D6 shots, getting 4 shots, hitting on 5s thanks to being down to 2 wounds, re-rolling 1s thanks to the Demon Prince of Tzeentch with Wings, getting 2 hits. Strength 8 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 3s, getting 2 wounds, minus 2 AP, so 2 5-up armor saves, passing 1 and failing 1. And the Space Wolves will use 1 command point, going from 5 down to 4, for a command reroll to reroll the 3. And here's the reroll, still failing the 5-up armor save, and it is worth 3 damage. So the Venerable Dreadnought will fall from 8 starting wounds down to 5 left. This Soul Grinder of Tzeentch will fire its Harvester Cannon and its Flum Bombardment into the Venerable Dreadnought that is down to 5 wounds. Beginning with the Harvester Cannon, 3 shots total, hitting on 5s thanks to moving, re-rolling 1s thanks to a Demon Prince of Tzeentch with Wings, getting 1 reroll, and here's the reroll. still failing to hit. Now for the Flum Bombardment, D6 shots, hitting 1 shot, and the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch are going to use 1 command point, going from 4 down to 3, for a command reroll to reroll the 1. And here's the reroll, now getting 4 shots. Hitting on 5s thanks to moving, rerolling 1s, thanks to the Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings, getting 1 hit. Strength 8 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on a 3, and it wounds. Minus 2 AP, so on 5-up armor save, which passes. This Soul Grinder of Tzeentch will fire its Harvester Cannon into the Venerable Dreadnought that is down to 5 wounds, and it will fire its Flum Bombardment into this squad of 5 Intercessors. Beginning with the Harvester Cannon, 3 shots total, hitting on 5s thanks to moving, getting 2 hits. Strength 7 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 4s, getting 2 wounds. Minus 1 AP, so 2 4-up armor saves, failing both, and they are D3 damage piece. So 2 D3 damage, getting 3 damage. So the Venerable Dreadnought will fall from 5 wounds, down to 2 left. And now for the Flum Bombardment, D6 shots, getting 6 shots. Hitting on 5s thanks to moving, that's pretty bad, getting 1 hit. Strength 8 versus Toughness 4 means wounding on a 2, getting a wound, minus 2 AP, so 1 5-up armor save, which fails, and it is 3 damage. So 1 Intercessor will lose its 2 starting wounds and be killed off, leaving 4 left alive in the squad. This squad of 2 pink horrors will fire their coruscating flames into this fully healthy repulsor. 4 shots total, hitting on 4s, getting 2 hits. Strength 3 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on 6s, getting 1 wound. No AP, so 1 3-up armor save, which fails. So this repulsor will fall from 16 starting wounds down to 15. This 1 pink horror on the end is within range to fire its coruscating flames into this repulsor that is down to 13 wounds. 2 shots total, hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s, failing to hit. Going into the assault phase, there is 1 charge to declare, which will be the squad of 4 Screamers, declaring a charge on the squad of 4 Intercessors. The Intercessor pack leader will overwatch with a crack grenade, because he's just within 6 inches. 1 shot, hitting on a 6, rerolling 1s, failing to hit. The 3 regular Marines will overwatch with their auto bolt rifles, so 6 shots total, hitting on 6s, rerolling 1s thanks to Bjorn the Fell-Handed, getting 2 hits. Strength 4 versus Toughness 5 means wounding on 5s, failing to wound. And here's the charge range, rolling 5 inches. And because the Intercessor pack leader was able to overwatch with a crack grenade, that means that a 5-inch charge is just enough to get the Screamers within an inch of the Intercessors. So they will make a successful charge. Going into the fight phase, we don't need to resolve Locus of Trickery for Tzeentch because the Screamers are over 6 inches away from the Demon Prince of Tzeentch and any other Chaos Demon of Tzeentch characters. However, we will begin with the Screamers, and they will pile in up to 3 inches. Making sure to stay over an inch away from the Razorback, and they are all in range to fight. 3 attacks apiece for 12 attacks total, hitting on 4s, getting 5 hits and 7 misses. So the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch are going to use their Gaze of Fate reroll and 1 command point, going from 3 down to 2 left, for a command reroll so that they can reroll the 2 3s. And here's the 2 rerolls, still failing both. So 5 hits total. Strength 6 versus Toughness 4 means wounding on 3s, passing all 5. Minus 3 AP, so 5 6-up armor saves. Passing 1, failing 4, and they are 2 damage apiece, so the Space Wolves are going to use 1 command point for a command reroll to reroll the 5. And here's the reroll, still failing the 6-up armor save. So 4 will go through. And since they are 2 damage apiece, all 4 remaining Intercessors will lose their 2 starting wounds and be killed off. Which means that that squad of Intercessors is fully wiped out. And now the squad of 4 Screamers will consolidate up to 3 inches into combat with the Razorback. This does mean, however, that the Razorback will be able to strike back against the Screamers. 3 attacks base, hitting on 6s, rerolling 1s, thanks to Bjorn the Fell-Handed, getting 1 hit. Strength 6 versus Toughness 5 means wounding on a 3, and it wounds. No AP, so 1 4-up invulnerable save, which fails, and it is worth 1 damage. So the wounded Screamer will lose its last wound and be killed off, leaving 3 left alive in the squad. Going into the morale phase, this squad of Screamers lost 1 model this turn, however they have a leadership of 7 and therefore it is impossible for them to fail. Taking a look at the tactical objective cards, the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch did successfully complete Touched by the Warp, and they did so with the Tzeentch Demon unit, so they will score D3 victory points. And here's the D3 roll, getting 2 victory points. The Chaos Demons of Tzeentch failed to complete the Glory of Khorne, however they did successfully complete Cycle of Life for 1 victory point. And at this point, the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch will hold on to the Glory of Khorne. And so, at the end of Chaos Demons of Tzeentch turn 1, the score currently sits at 3 victory points for the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch, and 1 victory point for the Space Wolves. Going into Space Wolves turn 2, a reminder that the Space Wolves have 3 command points available, and the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch have 2 command points available. At the start of the turn, a reminder that the Space Wolves held on to the tactical objective cards Kingslayer, Blood and Guts, and Unleash the Wolves from the previous turn. Going into the movement phase, the Space Wolves will begin by having this Razorback fall back out of combat with the Screamers up to 12 inches. The Warlord, Bjorn the Fell-Handed, will move up to 8 inches. The Repulsor that is down to 13 wounds will have the squad of 3 aggressors and the Primaris Wolf Priest disembark out in front. The squad of 3 aggressors will move up to 5 inches. The Primaris Wolf Priest will move up to 6 inches. The Repulsor that is down to 13 wounds will move up to 10 inches. The second Repulsor will move up to 10 inches. This Venerable Dreadnought, which is down to 2 wounds, will remain still. This squad of 5 Intercessors will move up to 6 inches. Finally, this squad of 5 Intercessors sitting on Objective Marker 4 will remain still. Going into the Psychic phase, the Space Wolves have no Psychers. Going into the Shooting phase, the Space Wolves will begin by using the stratagem Wisdom of the Ancients for 1 command point, bring them from 3 down to 2. Use this stratagem at the start of any phase, select a Space Wolves Dreadnought from your army, other than Murder Fang or a Wolfen Dreadnought. Until the end of the phase, you can reroll all hit rolls of 1 for friendly Space Wolf units within 6 inches of that Dreadnought. And this stratagem will be placed under the Venerable Dreadnought, who's down to 2 wounds, and so it will affect itself, this squad of 5 Intercessors, and the Repulsor that is down to 15 wounds. The Space Wolves will also use the stratagem Keen Senses for 1 command point, bring them from 2 down to 1 left. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase. Choose a Space Wolves unit from your army. That unit doesn't suffer any penalties to its hit rolls this phase. And this stratagem will be used on Bjorn the Fell-Handed. And the Space Wolves will begin with this squad of 5 Intercessors, who will fire their autobolt rifles into the Soul Grinder of Tzeentch, who is down to 2 wounds. 10 shots total, hitting on 3s. Getting 7 hits. Strength 4 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 5s. Getting 2 wounds. No AP, so 2 3-up armor saves. And failing both. And does the Soul Grinder explode on a 6? And it will not. So the Soul Grinder of Tzeentch will lose its final 2 wounds and be killed off. This Venerable Dreadnought will fire its Assault Cannon into this squad of 2 Pink Horrors. 6 shots total, hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s, thanks to the stratagem, getting all 6 hits. Strength 6 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on 2s. And that's terrible. Getting 2 wounds. Minus 1 AP, so 2 4-up invulnerable saves, passing both. This Repulsor will fire its Last Talon and Twin Last Cannon into the Warlord Lord of Change. It will fire its 2 Ironhail Heavy Stubbers into this squad of 2 Pink Horrors. And finally, it will fire its 2 Crackstorm Grenade Launchers and its 5 Fried Storm Grenade Launchers into this squad of 10 Pink Horrors. Beginning with the Last Talon and Twin Last Cannon into the Warlord Lord of Change. 4 shots total, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 3 hits. Strength 9 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 3s. Getting 3 wounds. Minus 3 AP, so 3 3-up invulnerable saves thanks to the Impossible Robe, passing 2, failing 1. And it is D6 damage, so the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch will use 1 command point, going from 2 down to 1, for a command reroll to reroll the 1. And here's the reroll. Still rolling a 1, so D6 damage will go through. And here's the D6 damage, and it will inflict 5 damage. So the Warlord Lord of Change will fall from 16 starting wounds down to 11. Now for the 2 Ironhail Heavy Stubbers, 6 shots total, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s. That could be a lot better, getting 3 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll. Getting a 4th hit. Strength 4 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on 3s. Getting 2 wounds. Minus 1 AP, so 2 4-up invulnerable saves, and failing both. So these 2 Pink Horrors will be killed off and removed. which means that that squad is wiped out. Next will be the 2 crack storm grenade launchers, 1 shot apiece for 2 shots total, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 1 hit. Strength 6 versus toughness 3 means wounding on a 2, and it wounds. Minus 1 AP, so 1 4-up invulnerable save, which fails, and it is D3 damage. So here's the D3 roll, doing 3 damage. So 1 pink horror will go down, leaving 9 left alive in the squad. Finally, the 5 Fragstorm grenade launchers, D6 shots apiece for 5 D6 shots total, getting 17 shots, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, and that was really good, getting 15 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, getting 1 additional hit for 16 hits total. Strength 4 versus toughness 3 means wounding on 3s, getting 11 wounds. No AP, so 11 4-up invulnerable saves, passing 6, failing 5. And they are 1 damage piece, so 5 pink horrors will go down, leaving 4 left alive in the squad. Next, this squad of 5 intercessors sitting on objective marker 4 will fire their auto bolt rifles into this squad of 3 screamers. 10 shots total, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s thanks to the dreadnought and the stratagem, getting 5 hits and 4 rerolls. And here's the rerolls, getting 3 additional hits for 8 hits total. Strength 4 versus toughness 5 means wounding on 5s. Wow, getting 6 wounds. No AP, so 6 4-up invulnerable saves. And that's the opposite, passing 1, failing 5. So 2 screamers will lose their 2 starting wounds and be killed off, leaving 1 left alive in the squad, and the final screamer will fall from 2 starting wounds down to 1 left. So now Bjorn the Fell-Handed will fire his heavy flamer into the screamer who's down to 1 wound, and then he will fire his heavy plasma cannon with supercharged shots into the Warlord Lord of Change who's down to 11 wounds. Beginning with the heavy flamer, D6 shots, getting 2 shots. This weapon automatically hits, so 2 hits. Strength 5 versus toughness 5 means wounding on 4s, hitting 1 wound, minus 1 AP, so 1 4-up invulnerable save, which fails, and it is 1 damage. So the final screamer will lose its last wound and be killed off. And that squad is fully wiped out. And now for the heavy plasma cannon. D3 shots, getting 3 shots, hitting on 2s thanks to the stratagem, rerolling 1s thanks to himself, getting all 3 hits. Strength 8 versus toughness 7 means wounding on 3s, getting 2 wounds, minus 3 AP, so 2 3-up invulnerable saves thanks to the impossible robe and passing both. This squad of 3 aggressors will fire their Flamestorm gauntlets into the Warlord Lord of Change who's down to 11 wounds. 2 D6 shots apiece for 6 D6 shots total, getting 26 shots. This weapon automatically hits, so 26 hits. Strength 4 versus toughness 7 means wounding on 5s, getting 10 wounds. No AP, so 10 3-up invulnerable saves thanks to the impossible robe, passing 9, failing only 1. So the Warlord Lord of Change will fall from 11 wounds down to 10. The repulsor that is down to 13 wounds will fire its last talon and twin last cannon into this Soul Grinder of Tzeentch. It will fire its 2 Iron Hail Heavy Stubbers and its 2 Crack Storm Grenade Launchers into this squad of 4 Pink Horrors. And finally it will fire its 5 Fragstorm Grenade Launchers into the Warlord Lord of Change who is down to 10 wounds. Beginning with the last talon and twin last cannon into the Soul Grinder of Tzeentch, 4 shots total, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, and a good thing too, getting 1 hit, and 3 rerolls thanks to Bjorn the Fell-Handed. And here's the rerolls, now getting 3 hits total. Strength 9 versus toughness 7 means wounding on 3s, getting all 3 wounds, minus 3 AP, so 3 4-up invulnerable saves, passing 2, failing 1, and it is D6 damage. And here's the D6 roll, and it will inflict 1 damage. However, the Space Wolves will use their last command point, going from 1 down to 0 for a command reroll to reroll the 1. And here's the reroll, still inflicting 1 damage. So the Soul Grinder of Tzeentch will fall from 14 starting wounds down to 13. Next will be the 2 Iron Hail Heavy Stubbers, 6 shots total, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 2 hits and 2 rerolls. And here's the 2 rerolls, getting 2 additional hits for 4 hits total. Strength 4 versus toughness 3 means wounding on 3s, getting all 4 wounds, minus 1 AP, so 4 4-up invulnerable saves, and failing all 4. So the final 4 Pink Horrors will be killed off and removed, which means that that squad is fully wiped out. and it also means that the 2 crack storm grenade launchers will go to waste. Finally, the 5 frag storm grenade launchers into the Warlord Lord of Change, d6 shots apiece for 5 d6 shots total. And that was really good, getting 24 shots. Hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s. Getting 17 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, still failing to hit, so 17 hits total. Strength 4 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 5s. Getting 8 wounds, however there was 1 cocked dice. So rerolling the cocked dice, which still fails to wound. So 8 wounds total. No AP, so 8 3-up invulnerable saves. Passing 4 but failing 4 in the R1 damage piece. So the Warlord Lord of Change will fall from 10 wounds down to 6 left. Finally, the Primaris Wolf Priest will throw a crack grenade onto the Warlord Lord of Change. 1 shot hitting on a 3, and it fails to hit. The Razorback controlling Objective Marker 6 will be unable to fire since it fell back this turn. Going into the assault phase, there are 2 charges to declare. The first charge is the Primaris Wolf Priest declaring a charge solely into the Warlord Lord of Change. The second charge will be from the squad of 3 aggressors, which will declare a charge solely onto the Warlord Lord of Change. Beginning with the Primaris Wolf Priest, there is no Overwatch, so here's the charge range, rolling 5 inches, and the Primaris Wolf Priest will automatically make his charge. And now for the squad of 3 aggressors. Once again, no Overwatch, so here's the charge range, rolling 4 inches, and 4 inches is more than enough to make the charge. Going into the fight phase, we first need to resolve Locust Trickery, rolling 2d6, taking away the highest, and hit rolls of 4 will not count. So the Space Wolves will begin with the squad of 3 aggressors, placing all of their attacks onto the Warlord Lord of Change. 7 attacks total, with their Flamestorm Gauntlets, hitting on 3s thanks to Hunters Unleashed, re-rolling thanks to the Primaris Wolf Priest, getting 3 hits and 4 rerolls. And here's the rerolls. Getting 2 additional hits for 5 hits total. However, thanks to Locust of Trickery, hit rolls of 4 do not count. So actually only getting 3 hits. Strength 8 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 3s, and that's awful. Getting 1 wound. Minus 3 AP, so 1 3-up invulnerable save thanks to the Impossible Robe, which passes. The Space Wolves will now have the Primaris Wolf Priest place all of its attacks onto the Warlord Lord of Change. 4 attacks based with the Crozius Arcanum, hitting on 2s, re-rolling thanks to himself. Getting all 4 hits, however, thanks to Locust Trickery, hit rolls of 4 do not count, so actually only getting 3 hits. Strength 5 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 5s, failing to wound. And now the Lord of Change will get to strike back, and he will place all of his attacks on the squad of 3 aggressors. 4 attacks base thanks to being down to 6 wounds, using the Staff of Tzeentch, hitting on 2s, re-rolling 1s thanks to a Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings, getting 3 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, still failing to hit, so 3 hits total. Strength 6 versus Toughness 5 means wounding on 3s, getting 2 wounds and 1 fail. However, the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch are going to use their last command point, going from 1 down to 0 for a command reroll to reroll the 2. And here's the reroll, now getting a 3rd wound. Minus 2 AP, so 3 5-up armor saves, passing 1, failing 2, and they are 3 damage apiece. And so the 2 regular aggressors will lose their 2 starting wounds apiece and be killed off, leaving 1 model left alive in the squad. Going into the morale phase, this squad of aggressors lost 2 models this turn. However, the aggressor pack leader has a leadership of 8, which means they will automatically pass. They are also within 6 inches of the Primaris Wolf Priest, who is a spiritual leader, and therefore if they needed to, they could use his leadership of 9. Either way, it is impossible for the morale test to be failed. Taking a look at the tactical objective cards, the Space Wolves once again failed to complete Kingslayer. They failed to complete Blood and Guts. However, they did successfully complete Unleash the Wolves for 1 victory point. And at this point, the Space Wolves will hold on to both Kingslayer and Blood and Guts for at least 1 more turn. And so at the end of Space Wolves turn 2, the score currently sits at 2 victory points for the Space Wolves and 3 victory points for the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch. Going into Chaos Demons of Tzeentch turn 2, a reminder that the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch have 0 command points available, and the Space Wolves also have 0 command points available. At the beginning of the turn, a reminder that the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch held on to the tactical objective card, the Glory of Khorne, from the previous turn. And so they drew 2 new tactical objective cards, and they drew Psychological Warfare. Score 1 victory point if your opponent failed a morale test during this turn. If your opponent failed 3 or more morale tests, score D3 victory points instead. And Blood and Guts. Score 1 victory point if an enemy unit was destroyed during the fight phase this turn. If 3 or more enemy units were destroyed during the fight phase this turn, score D3 victory points instead. Going into the movement phase, the Warlord, Lord of Change, who is down to 6 wounds, will remain locked in combat with the Aggressor Pack Leader and the Primaris Wolf Priest. This Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings will move up to 12 inches. The other Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings will also move up to 12 inches. This squad of 10 pink horrors sitting on Objective Marker 1 will remain still. This Soul Grinder of Tzeentch will move up to 8 inches. Finally, the Soul Grinder of Tzeentch, that is down to 13 wounds, will move up to 8 inches. Going into the Psychic phase, this Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings will attempt to manifest Smite onto the Primaris Wolf Priest because it is the closest visible enemy unit within 18 inches. And Smite has a warp charge value of 5, and it will pass with the 12, which will also perils. So first, resolving the perils, the Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings will inflict D3 mortal wounds onto himself and will inflict 2 mortal wounds. So this Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings will fall from 8 starting wounds down to 6. However, because the Psychic test was passed with an 11 or more, it will inflict D6 mortal wounds onto the Primaris Wolf Priest instead of D3, and it will inflict 4 mortal wounds. And so the Primaris Wolf Priest will fall from 5 starting wounds down to 1 left. The other Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings will attempt to manifest Smite onto the Repulsor that is down to 13 wounds because it is the closest visible enemy unit within 18 inches. And Smite has a warp charge value of 6, and it will pass with an 8. And it will inflict D3 mortal wounds, and it will inflict 2 mortal wounds. So this Repulsor will fall from 13 wounds down to 11. The Warlord, Lord of Change, will now attempt to manifest Smite onto the Primaris Wolf Priest. And Smite now has a warp charge value of 7. And it will pass with a 14 thanks to +2 from the Psychic Test bonus. However, it will also perils. But thanks to the Lord of Change's Warlord trait, Tyrant of the Warp, roll a dice. Each time your Warlord suffers perils of the Warp, on a 2-up, your Warlord's Psychic Mastery is such that they do not suffer perils of the Warp. So rolling a d6 looking for a 2-up, which of course will fail. So the Lord of Change will suffer perils of the Warp. And so he will inflict D3 mortal wounds onto himself and will inflict 3 mortal wounds. So the Warlord, Lord of Change, will fall from 6 wounds down to 3 left. But thanks to passing the Psychic test for Smite on an 11 or more, once again it will inflict D6 mortal wounds instead of D3, and it will inflict 3 mortal wounds. Which means that the Primaris Wolf Priest will lose its final wound and be killed off. And now for his second psychic power, the Warlord, Lord of Change, will attempt to manifest Gaze of Fate. And I do apologize, when he manifested Smite, he only got +1 to his psychic test bonus because he was down to 6 wounds at the time. However, it still passed on a 13, which meant that it still periled, and still inflicted D6 mortal wounds onto the Primaris Wolf Priest. But I do apologize, it was a +1 psychic test bonus, not +2. And now that he's down to only 3 wounds left, he has no psychic test bonus. But he still does get to attempt to manifest a second power, which in this case will be Gaze of Fate. And Gaze of Fate has a warp charge value of 6, and it will pass with the 6, thanks to no psychic test bonus now that he's down to 3 wounds. So the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch will be able to reroll a single die roll later this turn. Going into the shooting phase, this Soul Grinder of Tzeentch will fire its Harvester Cannon into the Razorback sitting on Objective Marker 6, and it will fire its Phlegm Bombardment into the Repulsor that is down to 11 wounds. Beginning with the Harvester Cannon, 3 shots, hitting on 5s thanks to moving, getting 1 hit, Strength 7 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on a 4, and fails to wound. Now for the Phlegm Bombardment, D6 shots, getting 5 shots, hitting on 5s thanks to moving, getting 2 hits, Strength 8 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on 4s, failing to wound. Finally, this Soul Grinder of Tzeentch, which is down to 13 wounds, will fire both its Harvester Cannon and its Phlegm Bombardment into the Repulsor that is down to 11 wounds. Beginning with the Harvester Cannon, 3 shots, hitting on 5s thanks to moving, getting 1 hit. Strength 7 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on a 5, and it wounds. -1 AP, so 1 4-up armor save, which fails, and it is D3 damage. So here's the D3 roll, and it will inflict 3 damage. So this repulsor will fall from 11 wounds down to 8. And now for the Phlegm Bombardment, D6 shots, getting 6 shots. Hitting on 5s thanks to moving, failing to hit. Going into the assault phase, there are multiple charges to declare, beginning with this Soul Grinder of Tzeentch, who's down to 13 wounds, who will declare a charge solely into the repulsor that is down to 8 wounds. The fully healthy Demon Prince of Tzeentch with Wings will declare a charge solely into the repulsor that is down to 8 wounds. And finally, the Demon Prince of Tzeentch with Wings, who is down to 6 wounds, will declare a multi-charge against the aggressor pack leader and the repulsor who is down to 8 wounds. And we will begin with the Soul Grinder of Tzeentch, who's down to 13 wounds. Beginning with the Overwatch from the Last Talon and Twin Last Cannon, 4 shots total, hitting on 6s, rerolling 1s thanks to Bjorn the Fell-Handed, getting 1 hit, 1 reroll, and here's the reroll, still failing to hit, so 1 hit total. Strength 9 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on a 3, and it wounds. Minus 3 AP, so 1 4-up invulnerable save, which passes. 6 shots from the 2 Iron Hail Heavy Stubbers, hitting on 6s, rerolling 1s, failing to hit, getting 2 rerolls. And here's the 2 rerolls, still failing to hit. Now for the 2 Crack Storm Grenade Launchers, 1 shot apiece for 2 shots total, hitting on 6s, rerolling 1s, failing to hit. Finally, the 5 Frag Storm Grenade Launchers, D6 shots apiece for 5 D6 shots total, getting 21 shots, hitting on 6s, rerolling 1s, getting 2 hits, and 4 rerolls. And here's the rerolls, still failing to hit, so 2 hits total. Strength 4 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 5s, getting 2 wounds. No AP, so 2 3-up armor saves, passing both. And here's the charge range, rolling 4 inches. However, since he is charging through a crater, he has to subtract 2 inches from the charge roll, so the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch are going to use their Gaze of Fate reroll to reroll the 1. And here's the reroll, now rolling a 6, getting 9 inches of charge total. And so after subtracting 2 inches for charging through a crater, a 7-inch charge is more than enough to make it in. The fully healthy Demon Prince of Tzeentch with Wings will now make its charge solely against the repulsor that is down to 8 wounds. No more Overwatch, so here's the charge range, rolling double 1s. And luckily, he's not charging through a crater because 2 inches is more than enough to make it within an inch. Finally, the Demon Prince of Tzeentch with Wings, who's down to 6 wounds, will make its charge. And here's the charge range, once again rolling double 1s. And once again, a 2-inch charge is more than enough to make it in, at least with the aggressor pack leader. Unfortunately for the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch, Space Wolf characters, including Bjorn the Fell-Handed, who is the Warlord, get to make 6-inch heroic interventions, rather than 3-inch heroic interventions. So Bjorn the Fell-Handed will heroically intervene. Going into the fight phase, we first need to resolve Locus of Trickery for the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch. Rolling 2d6, taking away the highest. Hit rolls of 1 will not count. So the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch will begin with the Soul Grinder of Tzeentch, who will place all of his attacks onto the repulsor, who's down to 8 wounds. 5 attacks base with the Iron Claw, since he's still at 13 wounds. Hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s, thanks to being within 6 inches of a Demon Prince of Tzeentch with Wings. Getting 2 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll. Still failing to hit, so 2 hits total. Strength 16 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on 2s, getting 2 wounds. Minus 3 AP, so 2 6-up armor saves, passing 1 and failing 1, and it is d6 damage. So here's the d6 roll, and it will inflict 1 damage. So this repulsor will fall from 8 wounds down to 7 left. Next, the fully healthy Demon Prince of Tzeentch with Wings will place all of its attacks onto the repulsor that is down to 7 wounds. 7 attacks base with the 2 sets of Malefic Talons, hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s thanks to itself, getting 5 hits and 2 rerolls. And here's the 2 rerolls, getting 1 additional hit for 6 hits total. Strength 7 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on 5s, getting 2 wounds. Minus 2 AP, so 2 5-up armor saves, failing both, and they are 2 damage apiece for 4 damage total. So the repulsor will fall from 7 wounds down to 3 left. The Demon Prince of Tzeentch with Wings, who's down to 6 wounds, will now pile in up to 3 inches. And it did declare a multi-charge, so it will place all of its attacks on the repulsor that is down to 3 wounds. 7 attacks base with the 2 sets of Malefic Talons, hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s thanks to itself, getting 5 hits and 2 rerolls. And here's the 2 rerolls, getting 2 additional hits for 7 hits total. Strength 7 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on 5s, getting 2 wounds. Minus 2 AP, so 2 5-up armor saves, and failing both. and they are 2 damage apiece for 4 damage total. And I am so sorry, but we had a major mess up because the repulsor has a repulsor field, which means you have to subtract 2 from your charge rolls if you declare a charge against a repulsor. And both Demon Princes rolled double 1s, which means they automatically failed their charges. So neither of them should have made it into combat with anybody. And so the repulsor will go back up to 7 wounds. It will not take any further damage, and both Demon Princes will completely fail their charges. And so I do apologize about that. I tried to set up the Demon Princes back to where they originally were, but that is absolutely terrible for the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch, because now the only unit that they have left to fight is the Warlord Lord of Change against the Aggressor Pack Leader, and the Repulsor is guaranteed to survive this fight phase with 7 wounds remaining. And also that would have meant that the Soul Grinder of Tzeentch would not have been able to reroll his failed hit rolls of 1 because he'd be too far away from the Demon Princes of Tzeentch. However, I don't think that affected anything, and since he only did 1 damage to the Repulsor, we will leave that alone. But I do apologize about that as well. So the Warlord Lord of Change, now that he's down to only 3 wounds, has only 3 attacks base, using the Staff of Tzeentch against the Aggressor Pack Leader, hitting on 2s, re-rolling 1s thanks to a Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings, getting all 3 hits. Strength 6 versus Toughness 5 means wounding on 3s. Getting 2 wounds, minus 2 AP, so 2 5-up armor saves. Passing 1 and failing 1, it is 3 damage. So the Aggressor Pack Leader will lose its 2 starting wounds and be killed off. And the Warlord Lord of Change will not consolidate. But now the Space Wolves will get to strike back, beginning with the Warlord Bjorn the Fell-Handed, who will place all of his attacks onto the Soul Grinder of Tzeentch. 5 attacks base with True Claw, hitting on 2s, re-rolling 1s thanks to himself, and a good thing too, getting 3 hits and 2 re-rolls. And here's the 2 re-rolls, getting 2 additional hits for 5 hits total. Strength 12 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 3s, re-rolling thanks to itself, getting 4 wounds and 1 re-roll. And here's the re-roll, getting a 5th wound. Minus 4 AP, so 5 4-up invulnerable saves, passing 3 but failing 2, and they are d6 damage apiece. So 2 d6 damage, inflicting 7 damage. So this Soul Grinder of Tzeentch will fall from 13 wounds down to 6 left. And now the Repulsor will get to strike back against the Soul Grinder of Tzeentch. D6 attacks thanks to being down to 7 wounds, getting 1 attack. Hitting on a 6, re-rolling 1s thanks to Bjorn the Fell-Handed, getting a hit. Strength 8 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on a 3, and it wounds. No AP, so 1 3-up armor save, which fails, and it is 1 damage. And so the Soul Grinder of Tzeentch will fall from 6 wounds down to 5 left. Going into the morale phase, there are no morale checks to take. Taking a look at the tactical objective cards, Chaos Demons of Tzeentch did successfully complete the Glory of Khorne for 1 victory point. They failed to complete Psychological Warfare, however they did successfully complete Blood and Guts for 1 victory point as well. And at this point, Chaos Demons of Tzeentch will throw Psychological Warfare away. And so at the end of Chaos Demons of Tzeentch turn 2, the score currently sits at 5 victory points for the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch and 2 victory points for the Space Wolves. Going into Space Wolves turn 3, a reminder that the Space Wolves have 0 command points available, and the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch also have 0 command points available. At the start of the turn, a reminder that the Space Wolves held on to the tactical objective cards Kingslayer and Blood and Guts from the previous turn, and so they drew 1 new tactical objective card, which is Secure Objective 5. Score 1 victory point if you control Objective Marker 5 at the end of your turn. And Objective Marker 5 is this one right here, currently not being controlled by anyone. Going into the movement phase, Bjorn the Fell-Handed will remain locked in combat with the Soul Grinder of Tzeentch, who's down to 5 wounds. This fully healthy Razorback, which is currently controlling Objective Marker 6, will move up to 12 inches. And it is now solely controlling Objective Marker 5. The Repulsor that is down to 7 wounds will fall back out of combat with the Soul Grinder of Tzeentch up to 5 inches. The Repulsor that is down to 15 wounds will have the squad of 3 aggressors and the Primaris Wolf Priest disembark out in front and off to the side. The Primaris Wolf Priest will move up to 6 inches. The squad of 3 aggressors will move up to 5 inches. The Repulsor that is down to 15 wounds will move up to 10 inches. The Venerable Dreadnought that is down to 2 wounds will remain still. This squad of 5 intercessors will move up to 6 inches. Finally, this squad of 5 intercessors will move up to 6 inches. Going into the Psychic phase, the Space Wolves have no Psychers. Going into the Shooting phase, the Space Wolves will begin with this Repulsor, which is down to 7 wounds. It will fire its twin last cannon into this fully healthy Soul Grinder of Tzeentch. It will fire its 2 Iron Hail Heavy Stubbers into this squad of 10 Pink Horrors, which are within 36-inch range. And then it will fire its last Talon, 2 Crack Storm Grenade Launchers, and 5 Frag Storm Grenade Launchers into the Warlord, Lord of Change, who's down to 3 wounds. Beginning with the twin last cannon into the Soul Grinder of Tzeentch, 2 shots total, hitting on 4s thanks to being down to 7 wounds, rerolling 1s thanks to Bjorn the Fell-Handed, getting 2 hits. Strength 9 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 3s, getting 1 wound. Minus 3 AP, so 1 4-up invulnerable save, which passes. Now for the 2 Iron Hail Heavy Stubbers into the squad of 10 Pink Horrors, 6 shots total, hitting on 4s thanks to being down to 7 wounds, rerolling 1s thanks to Bjorn the Fell-Handed. That was really good, getting 4 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll. Getting a 5th hit. Strength 4 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on 3s. Getting 3 wounds. Minus 1 AP, so 3 4-up invulnerable saves, passing 1, failing 2, and they are 1 damage piece. So 2 Pink Horrors will go down, leaving 8 left alive in the squad. Next will be the last Talon into the Warlord, Lord of Change. 2 shots total, hitting on 4s thanks to being down to 7 wounds, rerolling 1s thanks to Bjorn the Fell-Handed, getting 2 hits. Strength 9 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 3s, getting 2 wounds. Minus 3 AP, so 2 3-up invulnerable saves thanks to the Impossible Robe, passing 1 and failing 1, and it is D6 damage, so the Warlord, Lord of Change will use its once per game reroll thanks to the Impossible Robe. And here's the reroll of the 3-up invulnerable save, which will pass, so passing both. Now for the 2 Crack Storm Grenade Launchers into the Warlord, Lord of Change. 1 shot apiece for 2 shots total, hitting on 4s thanks to being down to 7 wounds, rerolling 1s thanks to Bjorn the Fell-Handed, getting 1 hit. Strength 6 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on a 5, and it fails to wound. Finally, 5 Frag Storm Grenade Launchers, D6 shots apiece for 5 D6 shots total, getting 15 shots, hitting on 4s thanks to being down to 7 wounds, rerolling 1s thanks to Bjorn the Fell-Handed, and that could be better, getting 5 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, still failing to hit, so 5 hits total. Strength 4 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 5s, failing to wound. The Repulsor that is down to 15 wounds will fire its twin last cannon and its last Talon into the Warlord, Lord of Change. It will fire its 2 Iron Hail Heavy Stubbers into this squad of 8 Pink Horrors, and then it will fire its 2 Crack Storm Grenade Launchers and its 5 Frag Storm Grenade Launchers into the fully healthy Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings, because it is the closest visible enemy unit. Beginning with the last Talon and twin last cannon, 4 shots total, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s thanks to Bjorn the Fell-Handed, getting all 4 hits. Strength 9 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 3s, and failing all 4. That's terrible. Next will be the 2 Iron Hail Heavy Stubbers into the squad of 8 Pink Horrors, 6 shots total, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s thanks to Bjorn the Fell-Handed, and that is absolutely awful. Getting 1 hit and 2 rerolls. And here's the 2 rerolls, getting 1 additional hit for 2 hits total. Strength 4 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on 3s, getting 2 wounds. Minus 1 AP, so 2 4-up invulnerable saves, failing both. So 2 more Pink Horrors will go down, leaving 6 left alive in the squad. Next will be the 2 Crack Storm Grenade Launchers into the Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings. 1 shot apiece for 2 shots total, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s thanks to Bjorn the Fell-Handed, getting 2 hits. Strength 6 versus Toughness 6 means wounding on 4s, getting 1 wound. Minus 1 AP, so 1 4-up invulnerable save, which passes. Finally, 5 Frag Storm Grenade Launchers, D6 shots apiece for 5 D6 shots total. That could be better, getting 14 shots. Hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s thanks to Bjorn the Fell-Handed, getting 8 hits and 3 rerolls. And here's the rerolls, getting 2 additional hits for 10 hits total. Strength 4 versus Toughness 6 means wounding on 5s, getting 3 wounds. No AP, so 3 3-up armor saves, passing 2, failing 1, and it is 1 damage. And so the Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings will fall from 8 starting wounds down to 7. This Razorback will fire its Storm Bolter at full range and its twin assault cannon into the Warlord, Lord of Change. Beginning with the Storm Bolter, 2 shots, hitting on 3s, getting 2 hits. Strength 4 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 5s, getting 1 wound. No AP, so 1 3-up invulnerable save, which passes. And And now for the Twin Assault Cannon, 12 shots total, hitting on 4s thanks to moving, getting 7 hits. Strength 6 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 5s, getting 2 wounds. Minus 1 AP, so 2 3-up invulnerable saves, passing 1 and failing 1. And it is 1 damage. So the Warlord, Lord of Change will fall from 3 wounds, down to 2 left. The Primaris Wolf Priest will fire an Absolver Bolt Pistol into the Warlord, Lord of Change. 1 shot, hitting on the 3 rerolling 1s thanks to Bjorn the Fell-Handed, getting a reroll. And here's the reroll, now getting a hit. Strength 5 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on a 5, and fails to wound. The squad of 3 aggressors will fire all of their Flamestorm Gauntlets into the Warlord, Lord of Change. 2 d6 shots apiece for 6 d6 shots total, and that could be a lot better, getting only 16 shots. This weapon automatically hits, so 16 hits. Strength 4 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 5s, getting only 4 wounds. No AP, so 4 3-up invulnerable saves, passing all 4, thanks to the Impossible Robe. This squad of 5 intercessors will fire their autobolt rifles into the Warlord, Lord of Change, and all 5 intercessors are in range to fire. 10 shots total, hitting on 3s, getting 8 hits. Strength 4 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 5s, getting 2 wounds. No AP, so 2 3-up invulnerable saves, passing both thanks to the Impossible Robe. The Venerable Dreadnought that is down to 2 wounds will fire its assault cannon into the Warlord, Lord of Change, who's down to 2 wounds. 6 shots total, hitting on 2s, getting 5 hits. Strength 6 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 5s. All fail to wound. The Warlord, Bjorn the Fell-Handed, is unable to fire since he's locked in combat. Finally, this squad of 5 intercessors will have these 4 models fire their autobolt rifles into the Warlord, Lord of Change, while this model on the far left will fire its autobolt rifle into the Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings, who's down to 7 wounds because he's too far away from the Warlord, Lord of Change. So beginning with the 4 intercessors shooting the Warlord, Lord of Change, 8 shots total, hitting on 3s. Getting 6 hits. Strength 4 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 5s. All fail to wound. And so now the last intercessor will fire its autobolt rifle into the Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings, 2 shots total, hitting on 3s, getting 2 hits. Strength 4 versus Toughness 6 means wounding on 5s, actually getting a wound, so 1 wound total. No AP, so 1 3-up armor save, which fails of course. So the Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings will fall from 7 wounds, down to 6 left. Going into the assault phase, the Space Wolves have 2 charges to declare. First will be the squad of 3 aggressors, declaring a charge into the Warlord, Lord of Change. The second charge will be from the Primaris Wolf Priest, declaring a charge into the Soul Grinder of Tzeentch. And the Space Wolves will begin with the squad of 3 aggressors. No Overwatch, so here's the charge range. Rolling 8 inches. And 8 inches is more than enough to make it in. And they will end up in combat like so, making sure to stay over 3 inches away from the Demon Princes, so that neither of the 2 Demon Princes of Tzeentch with wings will be able to heroically intervene into them. Finally, the charge from the Primaris Wolf Priest. And here's the charge range, rolling 6 inches. And 6 inches is more than enough to make it in. Finally, one of the Demon Princes of Tzeentch with wings, who's down to 6 wounds, will be able to heroically intervene into the Repulsor that is down to 15 wounds. Going into the fight phase, we first need to resolve Locust Trickery for the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch, rolling 2d6, taking away the highest, and hit rolls of 2 will not count. And so the Space Wolves will begin with this squad of 3 aggressors, who will place all of their attacks onto the Warlord, Lord of Change. 7 attacks with the Flamestorm Gauntlets, hitting on 3s, re-rolling, thanks to the Primaris Wolf Priest, and a good thing too, getting 3 hits and 4 re-rolls. And here's the re-rolls. Getting 3 additional hits for 6 hits total. Strength 8 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 3s. Getting 4 wounds. Minus 3 AP, so 4 3-up invulnerable saves. Passing 3 but failing 1, and it is D3 damage. And here's the D3 roll, and it will inflict 3 damage. So the Warlord, Lord of Change, will lose its last 2 wounds and be killed off. And that will be Slay the Warlord, and the aggressors will not consolidate. The final charging unit from the Space Wolves will be the Primaris Wolf Priest, who will place all of its attacks on the Soul Grinder of Tzeentch, who is down to 5 wounds. 4 attacks base with the Crozius Arcanum, hitting on 2s re-rolling, thanks to itself, getting 3 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll. still failing to hit. So 3 hits total, but thanks to Locust of Trickery, hit rolls of 2 do not count, so actually getting 2 hits. Strength 5 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 5s. Getting 2 wounds. Minus 1 AP, so 2 4-up invulnerable saves, passing 1 and failing 1, and is 2 damage. So the Soul Grinder of Tzeentch will fall from 5 wounds, down to 3 left. Now moving over to units that did not charge, beginning with the Space Wolves since it is their turn, the Warlord Bjorn the Fell-Handed will place all of his attacks onto the Soul Grinder of Tzeentch, who's down to 3 wounds. 5 attacks base with True Claw, hitting on 2s re-rolling thanks to itself. Getting all 5 hits. However, thanks to Locust of Trickery, hit rolls of 2 do not count, so actually getting 4 hits. Strength 12 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 3s re-rolling thanks to itself, and a good thing too, getting 2 wounds and 2 re-rolls. And here's the re-rolls. Getting all 4 wounds. Minus 4 AP, so 4 4-up invulnerable saves. Passing 3, but failing 1, and it is D6 damage. So here's the D6 roll, getting 3 damage. And does the Soul Grinder of Tzeentch explode on a 6? And it will not. So this Soul Grinder of Tzeentch will lose its final 3 wounds and be killed off. Now the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch will have an opportunity for the Demon Prince of Tzeentch with Wings, who's down to 6 wounds, to place all of its attacks onto the Repulsor that is down to 15 wounds. 7 attacks base with the 2 sets of Malefic Talons, hitting on 2s, re-rolling 1s thanks to itself, getting 5 hits and 2 re-rolls. And here's the 2 re-rolls, getting 2 additional hits for 7 hits total. Strength 7 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on 5s. Getting 3 wounds. Minus 2 AP, so 3 5-up armor saves. Passing 2, failing 1, and it is 2 damage. So this Repulsor will fall from 15 wounds down to 13 left. But now we'll get to strike back against the Demon Prince of Tzeentch with Wings. 6 attacks base, hitting on 6s, re-rolling. Thanks to the Primaris Wolf Priest, getting 1 hit and 5 re-rolls. And here's the re-rolls. Still failing to hit, so 1 hit total. Strength 8 versus Toughness 6 means wounding on a 3, and it wounds. No AP, so 1 3-up armor save, which passes. Going into the morale phase, this squad of Pink Horrors lost 4 models this turn, and they have a leadership of 7, so they could fail on a 4-up. And here's their morale check roll, and they pass with a 2, so nothing happens. And so taking a look at the tactical objective cards, the Space Wolves did successfully complete Kingslayer for D3 victory points. And here's the D3 roll, getting 3 victory points. The Space Wolves also successfully completed Blood and Guts for 1 victory point. Finally, they did successfully complete Secure Objective 5 for 1 victory point. And so at the end of Space Wolves turn 3, the score currently sits at 8 victory points for the Space Wolves thanks to Slay the Warlord, and 5 victory points for the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch. Going into Chaos Demons of Tzeentch turn 3, a reminder that the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch have 0 command points available, and the Space Wolves also have 0 command points available. At the start of the turn, the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch drew 3 new tactical objective cards, and they drew Hold the Line. Score 1 victory point if you have at least 3 units completely within your deployment zone, and your opponent has no models within your deployment zone at the end of your turn. This objective cannot be achieved on your first turn. Secure Objective 2, score 1 victory point if you control Objective Marker 2 at the end of your turn. And Secure Objective 6, score 1 victory point if you control Objective Marker 6 at the end of your turn. And Objective Marker 2 is this one right here, currently being controlled by no one. And Objective Marker 6 is this one right here, also currently being controlled by no one. And at this point, the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch are going to concede the game. This means that neither side will achieve Line Breaker, and so we will have a final score of 8 victory points for the Space Wolves and 5 victory points for the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch, with a major victory for the Space Wolves, thanks to a concession from the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch at the beginning of Chaos Demons of Tzeentch turn 3.